Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what time zone you're joining us from. My name is Daniel Tatarski, and I'm delighted to be hosting this event. This is our third LinkedIn Live discussion as part of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Today, we'll be looking at the cybersecurity challenges within our interconnected world of intelligent consumer devices. We'll be looking at how manufacturers can effectively confront these challenges through SGS Brightsight's latest solution, the SGS Cybersecurity Mark. And we'll learn how manufacturers can demonstrate market differentiation and enhance consumer confidence in their product safety and reliability. To guide us through the spider's web of the World Wide Web are two experts from SGS. First up is Alex Rubert, Sales Manager, SGS Brightsight. Hi, Alex.
Hi Daniel. Hello, everyone.
The technology is working. And completing today's team is Kai-Fan Chang, Chief Operating Officer, Asia, SGS Brightsight. Hello, Kai-Fan.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, welcome. Before we get going, it would be great if each of you can tell us a little bit about what your role at SGS Brightsight involves. Let's start with you, Kai-Fan.
Thank you, Daniel. So my role in SGS Brightsight is to manage all the operations of the labs in Asia. That includes at this moment our lab in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and also Taipei and Singapore and Korea. So it's a vast amount of ground to cover, but we do believe the potential in Asia for IoT security.
Yeah, no, that's going to keep you really busy. And how about you, Alex? Let's hear what sort of thing keeps you busy.
Yeah, so I'm IoT Sales Manager, and my role is to monitor the international IoT standard framework and to guide IoT developers in the world of cybersecurity evaluations, from IP to chip, from software to end devices. I'm here to help our clients finding the most suitable security evaluation among the multiple schemes and standards we offer.
Okay, that's great. Well, let's get going with some of the topics that we're going to talk about. And we'll stay with you, Alex, actually. Can you provide us with insights into the evolving landscape of the consumer Internet of Things, IoT, and the interconnected world of devices and the cybersecurity challenges associated with it?
Yes, Daniel, thanks for the question. It's indeed an evolving framework of regulations, government initiatives, and private schemes. What we are seeing today is that cybersecurity more than ever is taken in consideration, and all the initiatives have a common aim of transparency, allowing consumers to easily understand the security of the next connected devices. So let me give you a short overview of what is happening around the world. I will start with Europe. In Europe, the major one will be the Cyber Resilience Act, together with the Radio Equipment Directive, which will implement cybersecurity articles related to the security of network connection, fraud protection, personal data, and privacy. So the Radio Equipment Directive will be mandatory from August 2025. Then it's worth to mention the recent UK PSTI, which stands for Product Security Telecommunication Infrastructure. And this initiative asks developers to issue a statement of compliance covering basic security IoT requirements. And this regulation will be mandatory from April 2024.
All right. So just a quick interruption. Has the UK managed to forge ahead a little bit of Europe since Brexit?
Yes, correct. So
just trying to look for some good things about Brexit. It's hard, but that's a good one.
Yeah, that's true. And then let me continue with USA. The White House officialized this year the launch of a voluntary cybersecurity labeling program called the US Cyber Trust Mark. And this program will be implemented in 2024 for all the IoT connected devices. And then in Asia, it's worth to mention the Singapore labeling scheme, which is offering a multi-level framework, mutually recognized also in other countries like Germany and Finland. So as we can see, the international framework is complex, is moving fast, and for this reason, we are monitoring closing each initiative.
Right. Okay. And just to clarify, the stuff in the USA and Asia that you mentioned towards the end there, they're just voluntary schemes.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Kai-Fan, could you elaborate on the potential risks associated with consumer IoT devices and how prevalent they are? It'd be really valuable and useful, I think, for our viewers if you could share some real-world examples to illustrate the risks.
Yes, definitely. A bit about the time of first, a bit about the time of RED. It was actually earlier than PSTI, but delayed. So it gives a good example of the good and bad of Brexit, of course. But indeed, I think everyone has heard about the horror stories on the news or in the movie that the hackers can just get into your house IP cameras that you buy to monitor your house for burglars or to watch over your kids that are
Yeah.
used by the hackers to monitor your life or see something that is really private. Also, if we think about the smart speakers, they are actually constantly looking for or listening to your conversation until they hear some keywords to be activated. But the idea is that the possibility is there that if they are hacked, they are not supposed to do what they should be doing, and they can actively, constantly listen to your conversation at home. Also,
Yeah.
we see all the smart things like the thermostat or the door lock. This kind of things can really impact the security and privacy of people in your home, in your comfort zone, which makes it very important that we have basic security requirements for this type of products.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Back to you, Alex. How can manufacturers of IoT devices effectively manage the security compliance and ensure the safety of their products and for their end consumers?
Yeah, so I would say that proper management of security compliance requires a security in mind approach. So starting from the development phase, in this way, the product can follow the security requirements. Then partial testing, pre-assessment evaluations can help getting more confidence with the product security. And actually, we at SGS, we are already following this step-by-step approach to help the customers from the very beginning.
Okay, no, that's good. If you just joined us, I'm talking to two SGS experts, Alex Rubert and Kai-Fan Chang, as part of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We're looking at the cybersecurity challenges within our interconnected world of intelligent consumer devices. Now, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments section and we'll try to answer them if we have time at the end. Coming back to you, Kai-Fan, what precautions can manufacturers of IoT devices take to ensure their products are safe for the end consumer? How can they manage IoT security compliance? Kai-Fan, as I say, if you can take this one.
Yes, definitely. So we can look at two ways. One is what the developer should do, and also is what is required. If we look at the requirements, no matter is PSTI or the American one or the Cyber Resilience Act, we don't go into the detail, but the direction is how to maintain your security of your product from the development until the whole life cycle, to make sure it's security updated and monitored for vulnerability. And take PSTI as the my favorite example, because it's so
Yeah,
simple and quite elegant, because the basic thing about no default password, security update through the life cycle, and vulnerability disclosure. With these three measures, if you're doing it right, it can really save you from maybe 70% or 80% or more of the basic attacks that we are seeing on the market, and which
mm-hmm.
is the right way to approach it, because you need a bottom line. You cannot, in security, we don't have perfect security. So you need a bottom line, a barrier there to maintain a basic security level so that most of the attacker can be stopped.
Yeah,
So that is a very important thing, and what the developer should do, because a lot of IoT developers, they have never thought about it. They just think of a good idea and they take open source software there and some hardware there, and then just put it into a product, which is
yeah,
right. But they almost never thought about security when they are developing it, and
mm-hmm.
that's why the best way is to find in this sense, I'm a bit biased because I'm working for SGS. Find a good app that is providing security evaluation or relevant or consultancy type of services, and then
Yeah.
have them to look at your product with you together and see how
Mhm.
you can best set a rule or set a requirement or change your design, change your process to make sure that you satisfy these basic security guidelines and requirements. So that's my advice to all the developers.
Right. And just a quick question to clarify, you talked about no default password. Basically, what you're saying there is when you get a device, rather than it having a password already on there, it just has no password and forces you to create your own.
Yeah, exactly. So that is very important because if you have default password, most of the people don't really change that, and that's
Yeah.
the common attack that you will see. And also in Resilience Act, for example, it says the product has to be secure out of the box, and those are the things as developer you can set that when you first time turn on the device, your device will ask for setting a default password that is strong in, not a default password, setting your own password that is strong
Yeah.
enough. Also have a security update to get the latest software. I think those are
Right.
the things you can do to make sure your product is secure out of box.
Right. And is it true that the most popular password in the world is actually password?
I think so. That's what I read. So I use 1 2 3 4 5. So I don't know.
All right. Okay. No, I use 000 because no one uses that. One other quick question: when you talk about vulnerability disclosure, is that whereby companies, if they see a vulnerability, they let people know as soon as possible so that they can take the security updates?
Yes, that's very important, especially a lot of people or developers they're using open source software. So
Yeah.
there are organizations looking into that. We have the CVE database and following all the vulnerabilities, and that's the least what you can do to see if you're to know what's in your product, and then
Yeah.
see if they are new vulnerabilities in your product that you have to take care of, which is
Right.
also part of the service that a company like SGS or SGS Brightsight can provide to you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Coming back to you now, Alex. First up, the SGS Cybersecurity Mark seems to offer a solution to enhance transparency between manufacturers and consumers regarding product security. Can you provide an explanation of what the cybersecurity mark represents and how it can bridge the gap in communication, if I can say it?
Yes, sure. So today, consumers choose devices based on multiple criteria, like brand, the price, scope of use, the frequency of use. But let me take the example of the energy efficiency label. In this way, the energy efficiency label is offering an immediate understanding of the impact of the product in terms of efficiency and consumption.
Yeah.
So the SDS cybersecurity mark is adding transparency to the security of the product in this way. So the label has three different levels, and
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to understand. And then on top of that, the QR code can also add additional details in terms of product security. So for this reason, we are trying to overcome the gap between the developers and the
Yeah.
end consumers in terms of security.
Right, and the three different levels, I suppose they're like I've got a bicycle, and bicycle theft is very prevalent in England. So I could buy a lock that would take 4 hours for someone to break into, and because of my bike, they probably wouldn't want to bother. Or I could have bought a cheaper lock, which would take an hour, or a really cheap lock, which would take 5 minutes. And it's that sort of levels that we're talking about.
Yes, so the levels are in relation on the type of product. Of course, we were mentioning, for example, the Bluetooth speakers, so the security features are different there.
Yeah,
And in terms also of the market requirements, because, for example, UK PSTI is, as Kaikan was saying, is checking particular points, but then the other standards, for example, are offering a different evaluation. So I would say it's in relation of the product security, product type, and the standard that the developer want to pursue.
Right. Okay. And staying with you, Alex, in addition to transparency, what are the other benefits that come with the SGS Cybersecurity Mark?
So transparency is very important, and for this reason, I would say that it's one of the first benefits. But then let me mention also risk management. So third-party evaluations allow developers to mitigate risk, and working with experts fully dedicated into the security allows developers to be up to date with upcoming vulnerabilities and initiatives. So risk management is the first benefit. Then we have also market differentiation. SGS is a leading testing company with more than 90,000 people and a long history in the testing domain. So our brand is recognized everywhere. It's worth to mention also compliance. So what we were discussing at the beginning of this session is the upcoming regulations. So from Europe to UK and USA. So compliance is coming. And in different periods and in different markets. So with the SGS Cybersecurity Mark, we are mapping all these initiatives, and therefore it will be easy for the developer to put information about the compliance on the product.
Right.
And let me also mention another benefit, which is the continuous vulnerability check. So we are not talking about just about the mark here, but beyond the label, we created a dedicated program to ensure the product security that will be up to date for new vulnerabilities. So we will do also a periodical check.
Right. Okay. I mean, talking about vulnerability, am I right to say that the biggest vulnerability on any device is the actual consumer and how they use it and how they interact with it, whether they update the security on it and things that they might be tricked by. Obviously one of the main things that people have a problem with is they get an email, it looks like a good offer, they click on it and they're suddenly in trouble.
Yeah, so it's common to receive some emails like you want a prize or something. So you need to be careful. You need to listen careful the emails and all the messages that you receive. Then of course it's important to keep the product up to date. So updates are very important for the product security.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything that manufacturers can do to make, in effect, to train the end consumer?
Yes, so manufacturers can offer security updates for precise time, so also for a medium-long period, and this will help because in this way you know that you are buying a device that will be secure, also will receive updates also in the next period. So this is very important.
Right. Okay. So addressing the evolving nature of IoT devices, what happens when a product undergoes firmware updates or changes? How does SGS ensure the ongoing security of the product? And is the cybersecurity mark issued in such cases, or is a new cybersecurity mark issued in such cases?
So firmware is an essential part of the product security. And therefore, we need to ensure that the changes, updates are not affecting the product security. So we will work together with the developer, and we will ask to provide more information about the updates. We will do an impact analysis, and we'll determine if these changes are affecting the product security. Then, yes, a new label, a new QR code will be issued, so to provide to the market the latest date of check.
Right. So sorry, just so I understand, when you say a new QR code will be created, if I'm an end consumer, how will I get that new QR code, or will the original QR code be linked to the updated security levels?
Yes, correct. So for the users, will be easier to check because the QR code will drive into a dedicated web page with information about the date of issuance. So for this reason, it will be easy to understand when it was the latest check.
All right. Okay. And so just staying with the maintenance of the cybersecurity mark, does SGS offer ongoing services to manufacturers to assist in maintaining and verifying the cybersecurity of the products?
Yes, that's correct. So, of course, we were talking about security in mind approach from the development phase. This is very important. Then, of course, there are other services like workshop trainings to increase the awareness, and then pre-testing. Then we have the certification phase, but it's also important the maintenance. So we will work closely with our developers to ensure that the security of the product will be granted. So this is the way we will work.
Right. Okay. A quick question for you, Kaifan. Is the application of the SGS Cybersecurity Mark a mandatory requirement for manufacturers, or indeed any cybersecurity mark, or is it an optional certification that they can choose to pursue based on their priorities and objectives?
Yes, it's mandatory, and we have 50 left this year. Please call this number to get one. No, I wish we can say that, then we will be really making good business. However, it is it's not a mandatory thing that you have to.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I also see some comments in that is that there are so many different requirements in the world, and what we want to do with the cyber security mark is to use the basic of the IoT requirements to show your compliance to, for example, we said EN 303645, which is used in different ways by many countries to build up their IoT security program or security mark. If you think about the RED in Europe, and you think about COS in Singapore, and I recently joined SICW in Singapore, and Japan also said we are ready to do a mark based on similar requirements. So there will be something that is required and mandatory in the world for this type of thing. RED is one example, and using or taking cybersecurity mark is a way to have a third party, a famous TIC company like SGS to show your compliance to this. And also because we are operating in different places in the world, different countries, and we can provide and are accredited for many security programs. We can just have one evaluation and mark to show compliance to multiple things. So I think people should look at it like that way. It's a easier solution to just follow all the different things. Just come to SGS or SGS Brightsight to know more about it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in a way, the pushing of the cybersecurity mark will be led by consumers, because as a consumer, like if I was buying a phone, I'd be more likely to buy a phone which has got a high level of cybersecurity than one that doesn't. And so that as companies see that people are moving towards the product with the cybersecurity mark, then they're going to have to take it on board.
Definitely, that's one thing I think the most difficult thing when we talk to developers, because at this moment it's very difficult to influence the buying decision of the customer. What can they see on the product packaging to say, I want to buy this product because it is more secure? When customer is willing to pay a few more dollar or euro or any currency for security, then we can really push the whole industry and developers to willing to spend money to develop secure product and have this kind of security functionalities in their product. So indeed, this live event and the message is not only to B2B, like to the customer of SGS, but also to end consumers.
Yeah. Okay. And another question for you, Alex. IoT manufacturers are usually developing and putting on the market different products with minor changes on features. How is the lab and SGS Cybersecurity Mark? How are you managing the families of products?
Yeah. So we will use a product family approach. So we will take in consideration the differences between similar models from the same family. Developers will be asked to prepare a summary of the differences and to understand the architecture of each product. So we will do our best to optimize the number of samples and the number of testing, because we know that in some cases products are very, very similar with the same product security, with the same architecture.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've got at least one question that's coming from the audience, which I think is going to appear on screen soon so that I can read it out for you. This is from Mr. Saidor Rahman. We need to manage many passwords for internal and client-side login, as well as in personal life nowadays, which is true. I've got like about 30 different passwords that I have to keep track of. What's the best way to manage passwords securely? And since it's impossible to memorize too many passwords, and losing a digital password preservation file could be the biggest threat. Who'd like to take that?
Well, I can say a few words first.
Yeah.
So this actually, from what I'm reading, and also if we see big companies, what they're offering is like things like 1Password type of solution. Yeah. You have your main password, you only need to remember one. And then when you joining certain services, for example, your Apple or Google will tell you, do you want me to create an account for this? And I can generate a very strong password. So if you are logging to Google or Apple, then next time you come to this service, it will automatically think. I think that at this moment would be a good choice for the consumers or normal consumers to do.
Right, and also I suppose biosecurity. So using your face as your password or your fingerprint as your password is a way around that.
Yeah, that's also a way. That's to make it simple, but basically it's also to concentrate security onto certain aspect, whether it's a password or your biometric characteristics. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I was thinking, because I've got a very old phone, because the new phones are too big to put in my pocket, so I keep my old phone. But it's now reached a point where it's no longer getting updates. So what can manufacturers do, or what should manufacturers do to make sure that people like me upgrade their phone to stay cyber secure?
Of course, that's something they really want to do, and what I see a good development, and I think it's a reaction towards things like Resilience Act is the previous or recent Pixel events. They were saying this Pixel phone 8, we are going to have guaranteed 7 years of security update. I think you'll see more and more of that in the devices you buy.
Yeah.
And also, I would encourage people to really use the more recent or products that are still getting security updated. It's really important because they are unsupported. If you're still using Windows XP and you want it to be super secure on a network, that's just not possible. So that's our advice to
yeah. So you're basically telling me to get a new phone.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I shall do that as soon as we've ended today's conversation, which actually leads us nicely to the point where unfortunately we do have to end it. The SGS Cybersecurity Mark, as we've seen, can help consumers identify products protected against cyber attacks, but nothing can protect us against time slipping through our fingers. And so with everything we have covered today, it feels like time has been especially quick to disappear. So I have to bring the discussion to a close and go and buy a new phone. I want to thank my SGX experts, Alex Rubert, Sales Manager, SGS Brightsight, and Kai-Fan Chang, Chief Operating Officer, Asia, SGS Brightsight. And I'd also like to thank you all for watching. It can be a scary world out there amongst the Internet of Things, but I hope we've given you an insight into how you can reduce those risks. As Cybersecurity Awareness Month nears its end, we have one final webinar on the 31st of October, which is an update on RED cybersecurity requirements for the consumer IoT market. There's a link on the screen now where you can find everything you'll need. But that's all from me for now. Thanks for watching. I'm Daniel Tatarski. Until next time, goodbye.